We'll start with a short video. We all know the value of role models as beacons of inspiration, reminding us what's possible, lifting our aspirations and energizing our actions. More people play tennis after Wimbledon, more cyclists. We'll start with a short video. We all know the value of role models as allow the inspirer to inspiration, reminding us what's possible. Few things have greater reach and are more inspiring than the Olympics. So let's start by spending 2 minutes with the great inspirer of young people. We'll start with a short video. We all know the value of role models to allow the inspirer to inspiration, reminding us what's possible. Few things have greater reach and are more inspiring than the Olympics. So let's start by spending 2 minutes with the great inspirer of young people. We'll start with a short video. We all know the value of role models to allow the inspirer to inspiration, reminding us what's possible. Few things have greater reach and are more inspiring than the Olympics. So let's start by spending 2 minutes with the great inspirer of young people. We'll start with a short video. We all know the value of role models to allow the inspirer to inspiration, reminding us what's possible. Few things have greater reach and are more inspiring than the Olympics. So let's start by spending 2 minutes with the great inspirer of young people. We'll start with a short video. We all know the value of role models to allow the inspirer to inspiration, reminding us what's possible. Few things have greater reach and are more inspiring than the Olympics. So let's start by spending 2 minutes with the great inspirer of young people. We'll start with a short video. We all know the value of role models to allow the inspirer to inspiration, reminding us what's possible. Few things have greater reach and are more inspiring than the Olympics. So let's start by spending 2 minutes with the great inspirer of young people. We'll start with a short video. We all know the value of role models to allow the inspirer to inspiration, reminding us what's possible. Few things have greater reach and are more inspiring than the Olympics. So let's start by spending 2 minutes with the great inspirer of young people. We'll start with a short video. We all know the value of role models to allow the inspirer to inspiration, reminding us what's possible. Few things have greater reach and are more inspiring than the Olympics. So let's start by spending 2 minutes with the great inspirer of young people. We'll start with a short video. We all know the value of role models to allow the inspirer to inspiration, reminding us what's possible. Few things have greater reach and are more inspiring than the Olympics. So let's start by spending 2 minutes with the great inspirer of young people. We'll start with a short video. We all know the value of role models to allow the inspiration, reminding us what's possible. Few things have greater reach and are more inspiring than the Olympics. So let's start by spending 2 minutes with the great inspirer of young people. We'll start with a short video. We all know the value of role models to allow the inspiration, reminding us what's possible. Few things have let's start by spending 2 minutes with the great inspirer of young people. We'll start with a short video. We all know the value of role models to let's start by spending 2 minutes with the great inspirer of young people. We'll start with a short video. We all know the value of role models to let's start by spending 2 minutes with the great inspirer of young people. We'll start with a short video. We all know the value of role models to let's start by spending 2 minutes with the great inspirer of young people. So much more
we're sort of proposing that from the very beginning that a game developer sort of needs to have a platform that could sort of bring data practitioners which allows us to be so limited. I think really it should be able to have not just we're sort of proposing from the very beginning that a game developer sort of needs to have a platform that could sort of bring data practitioners which so limited. I think really it should be able to have the space that we can professionals and we're sort of proposing that from the very beginning that a game developer sort of needs to have a platform that could sort of bring data practitioners which and that excites me. So limited. I think really it should be able to have the space that we can professionals and we're sort of proposing that from the very beginning that a game developer sort of needs to have a platform that could sort of bring data practitioners Luke is a young skater, so limited. I think it should be spread across everyone. Professionals and we're sort of proposing that from the very beginning that a game developer sort of needs to have a platform that could sort of bring data practitioners Luke is a young skater, so limited. I think it should be spread across so what's we think the future of basketball is about first and foremost, it's free. Luke is a young skater, born so yes. So what we think the future of basketball is about first and foremost, it's free. Luke is a young skater, born so yes. So what we think the future
Okay, what will be released today that I'm not going to do you'll have read it. You know the main points. I'm going to highlight some of the discussion points and the key points, and then we'll move on to questions. So why ACT? This has already been covered slightly, but just briefly, the old skate park was built, refreshed in 2012, so it's now 13 years old. It's starting to crack, and it's a very tired example of what a skate park used to be. There's an example of what a really inspiring skate park can be at the local Midsummer Norton skate park, with blown concrete, sweeping bowls, clean lines, just allowing a lot more engagement. So the old one something's got to happen. The point is, what we can't do is nothing. We can't do nothing because it's dying. Something has got to be done. It's an opportunity, the way to think of this is an opportunity to do something really inspiring. Other towns have done it, as Kim and Polly have said. So moving on. That's not working. Oh, there we go. Okay. The current location is much loved. Does have pros, does have cons, but the point is we can't do a refreshment there. Whether we want to, whether we don't want to, we can't do it there. The noise, if you do a noise impact assessment in that location, it's just too close. Even though the residents that were built there were built after the skate park, it doesn't make any difference in terms of planning. It's only 10 or 15 meters away. The noise would be too great. So we can't stay where we are. We then had a look. Many of you were here at a brilliant council meeting, and the suggestion was made, well, what about looking in the middle? We had a look in the middle. Right in the middle doesn't work because it compromises the way the park is used, not least for the air ambulance, but for school groups and also all sorts of other users. So what we did was where we've reached is this location here, close to the younger play, which I'll come on to, but here it allows the middle to stay open. The air ambulance needs 30 meters to land. There's 40 meters gap there. It's over 70 meters from the nearest residence. Fields and Trust say 30 meters is the absolute minimum. So we're well beyond that in terms of the noise. So there works from a planning point of view, and that's what's unlocked the whole of this discussion, because we do have a location we can look at. So that's the journey to the location. What are we talking about? Okay, if we're going to do this, it's a big project, it's a complex project, it's an expensive project. But what we have the chance to do is create something inspiring that's got inclusivity right at the heart of every single thing we do. Right from the get-go, it's built and hardwired into the proposal, and that's what you'll have seen in the document. A state-of-the-art facility that's engaging, and skaters go to different, I feel stupid saying what you guys do, but as I understand it, skaters go to different towns to try the skate parks if they're really good. We would love Frome to be right up there as a place that you'd want to go to. When we come to, if it gets approved, doing the actual project of what will the design be, it will be co-designed. We will work with as many communities as possible to hear as many voices as possible to ensure that the voices of the whole community of Frome are heard and needs are built into. The co-design, genuinely reaching out to the community of Frome, is a key part of what we would want to do. But what about this idea that it's right next to younger play? That was obviously something we hadn't considered to begin with. It's the only location where it can work, so we did our research. There's actually many examples of skate parks near younger play, and actually it can act as a really great reducer of barriers to participation. So at the moment, you have a skate park that's a bit of a distance away from the gate, and if you're a younger person, you have to walk, and it can be quite intimidating to walk that journey up to the skate park. By having it right next to younger play, the evidence of, we went to Portishead there, and there's other examples on the screen, it breaks down the barriers because the younger children are so close to the skate park, they don't feel that barrier of intimidation of making the first approach. There's also quite often more parents in the mix supporting that culture of inclusivity. So it's actually found to be a benefit having it close to younger play. We've done a lot of engagement. We've had 2 skate jams. We've done an engagement exercise seeking information about the park in general, the skate park being refurbished, and the skate park moving to younger play. Basically, the bottom line on that is that most people were either interested in more information or actively positive. Only 1 in 20 was against the proposal. So we've tested the idea, and that's what's taken us to this stage of actually getting to a proposal. So just an element on this really, really important debate about inclusivity. To ensure we build a facility that is inclusive as possible, it will be guided by a number of key principles that actually are in line with the Diversity and Inclusion Action Plan of the governing body. The first thing to say is that safety is really important. The park, as you all know, is very open aspect, which is a very good point in general for safety. There's many exit points, and there's 2 police CCTV cameras in the park already. We would like to consider raising the bar of a community value of the site, or recognising that community value by applying for a Green Flag Award. The project starts with inclusivity as a key goal right from the starting brief, as you've seen it here. And just FYI, the current steering group avoids any risk of unconscious male bias, as it's composed at the moment of 6 women and 2 men. The co-design of the facility, as we've already covered, will very actively reach out to all groups, and the needs of all will be woven into the final design when if this project goes ahead, when we get there, it will genuinely be a design reflecting the needs and wishes of all. As Kim said, the facility is not just for skaters, but it's for wheeled sports generally, and scootering has some very high participation rates, up to 40% of young people in some studies. The design, crucially, will include the setting as well as the facility itself. Now, that's really important because making the setting a social space has a really important contributor to making it an accessible space for everybody. So there'll be social seating, there'll be softened by planting, there'll be names and art that make the space more familiar and create a sense of belonging. That will be a key part of the co-design process. We've already covered how the proximity of younger play can be very important for promoting open, inclusive culture. If we get to the point where we have this fantastic skate park, we really want to do programming where we include events specifically targeted at girls and women, because that can really help with enabling those less experienced with skate parks to join in. Also to note that the Olympic profile since Tokyo has played an important part in widening participation. So through a focus on participation, safety and reducing attitudinal barriers, Frome Town Council is taking the steps to identify and mitigate any negative outcomes, encourage the participation of protected groups and foster good relations between protected groups, and hence fulfilling its public sector equality duty obligations. This may be something we debate more, but that's why we spent a bit of time just talking about that now. So, key question, how much? We don't know because the co-design is part of the journey, but we do know what local projects have cost. We think it's likely to be of the order of £350,000 to £400,000. It's not a small project, but we know that it hasn't been a barrier for any of the other 50 or so projects that have happened recently in the Southwest. We don't think it's a barrier here. It just is part of the journey. But we need to recognise that it's a big part of the journey. One point that is important just to say on the governance of the project, Frome Town Council won't be involved in actually designing the project, designing the facility, but we will be the owners of the land, the site, the facility, and we will be managing that facility. It's very important that we ensure the whole process follows our inclusivity policies and objectives. So we will be making sure the tender brief meets our standards when appointing the contractor and the selection of the contractor. We will make sure the final design is inclusive for everybody, and we will make sure that that process of co-design genuinely includes the community. Just a bit on how that might work. Practically speaking, the money is obviously the make or break with this project. So we think there are funds out there. A couple of the projects we looked at had three-figure sums from lottery. I'm not saying we'll get it, but there is money out there, nearly similar amounts from landfill tax, plus there's crowdfunding. There's many different sources of funding for big amounts of funding, but you need the energy and drive to go out there, check eligibility, make the application, seek the match funding, etc., etc., etc. That is a really skilled job that requires a lot of focus and energy. So our contribution, Frome Town Council's contribution under this proposal to be voted on, is that we would provide the money to recruit that fundraising expertise. It might be a contractor, it might be a fixed term part-time post, but we would bring in that expertise, and the funding for that would come from the small projects budget and EMR up to £45,000. That post would be managed by the communities team with input at all stages from the community skate park community, and then the project, the tendering process and the selection of the contractor and the managing of that contractor, that would rest with myself, the environment manager, and the co-design would be managed by the contractor, but with oversight from us, as we said, to ensure the inclusivity is there at all stages. Nearly there. So the next slide just schematically tries to put what I just said into some sort of, make it hopefully more understandable. So basically, you've got the Frome skate park community and the fundraiser helping to raise money. You've got Frome Town Council with the possibility of a loan, and I'm going to come on to that in the next slide. That allows us to select a contractor who can do the skate park facility, having first done, they leading on it, a co-design, and ultimately that allows us to hopefully get to a new skate park. And how that might be divvied up internally, the communities team would be operating more at that fundraising, managing the fundraising element, and the environment team, myself, would be more focused on the managing of the contractor and the actual physical install. Last two slides are on the loan. So this is a proposal that is independent of should we go ahead with the project, should we invest £45,000 in a fundraiser. This is an additional point for councillors to vote on. And the idea of this is, do we want the principal of a loan to match any shortfall that we find when we do the fundraising? It's the principal only that's being voted on tonight. So, for example, 9 months into the project, if we find we've got 280,000 and we need another 120,000, this would allow us to come back to council and say, we think there's a shortfall of £120,000. Could we please follow through with the principle that we are voting on tonight to get £120,000 to see us over the line? So, we're voting only on the principle. We do need to vote on the principle tonight, because if we wanted later on to take out a loan, we would have to have started the process of applying now, but we will not be following through and actually taking out a loan until it comes back to council and there is a second vote. So it's only the principle that's being voted on tonight. Sorry, it's a bit technical, but it is quite a key point. Just briefly on the costs, I just wanted to point out how much money do we have funding our loan burden at the moment. It's 133,000. That's actually going down because some old loans for the cheese and grain are coming to the end of their term. So obviously, if we take out a loan, it's money, but it's just context that the total ceiling of the money we're spending on our loans isn't getting out of control. I won't say any more than that at this stage. That is, that's a quick canter through the bones of the project.
Thank you very much, Rob, for that. First of all, there are two parts to this discussion and this decision. First of all, there's sort of the principle of it, like, do we want to go ahead with a skate park? And I think I'm really keen to sort of hear some more voices on that. And then there's the finance stuff. So I'd quite like us to just park any questions, particularly about the finance stuff for now, if that's okay. And first of all, I'd really actually like to hear from some young people in the room, because we do have quite a lot of you and people who might be sort of users. So I just kind of wanted to hear a few voices if anyone wanted to speak. I'd just like to hear what a new skate park might mean for you, what you think about it.
Definitely you're in it.
Hold on a sec. Anita, can we just hold off on, can we just hear from some young people first, if that's okay?
Thank you. My name's Ed Bucklow. I'm Ed Bucklow and I'm part of the skate park project. And I am very proud that, sorry, I'm a bit flustered. I don't know why.
Okay, good time.
What?
You can't speak. Okay.
We can come back to you. Yeah, Philip, you pass the microphone if you're happy to speak.
Would you like me to stand up?
If you would like, or you can sit down.
Oh, okay.
As well.
My name's Jojo, and I'm a skateboarder. I'm from Frome. And I think it would be really valuable to have a better facility, because this skate park that we have at the moment, it's hard to explain to people who don't skate, but it's falling apart and it's becoming unsafe and it's quite uninspiring. And there's kids who, have really got into like wheeled sports and like don't have the facilities to push themselves any further or kind of progress. And at least in my opinion and in my experience, that leads to sometimes antisocial behavior. And I think like these kids kind of just need a bit of hope, and like they need to feel like the council's behind them, and like, they need to feel some sense of it's theirs as well, and like they can contribute towards this and work with the council instead of against the council, because I feel like they might feel like the council's kind of failing them, or I don't mean to sound disrespectful, but
say it.
Like a lot of the time, people. Sorry, I'll speed up. Sorry, a lot of the kids at the park who don't have the money or time to go to other skate parks, they just. I know they're pretty. I'll be honest. They're pretty anti-town council. I don't think they understand the specifics of it, but I think working with them and with us could be really beneficial.
Thank you, Jojo. I've done some work with Frome College, and I worked with a group of students to come and speak at a council meeting. And one of the things they said that has really stuck with me was that they just always felt in the way. And they just felt like there was nowhere for them to hang out and that just kind of be themselves, that they were always sort of, in the way. And that's really, really stuck with me. Are there any other young people that might want to speak? If you just say your name.
Hiya, so I'm Casper's mum. I'm going to speak on behalf of Casper. Can you just stand up and show everyone your beautiful face, please? Casper's quite well known in Frome. Casper, I've sat with him at the skate park on his first three-wheeled skateboard in the freezing cold. Scooter, sorry. He's now gone on to be 10th in the UK at scootering. He attends competitions all around the country. His dad mainly drives him to Poole most weekends to go to an indoor skate park there. He is sponsored by a team down there. But if he wants to practice up here, he has to get on a train to Trowbridge or Midsummer Norton. Warminster, lots of other places. So he was just sort of sharing with me that it would mean the world, and he would be able to improve a lot more if, as we live around the corner from the park, that was there. Is there anything else you would like me to share? Are you sure? Yeah.
Thank you. And Casper, I think we've met previously. I think you spoke to me about the skate park at the Westway. There was a group of you that were there. Yeah. Okay. Anyone else? One more young person. Would you like to speak again?
Yeah.
Yes.
So when in Frome, when you get to a certain age, I feel that there's really a lack of things to do past a certain age, especially as a teenager. So my question is how can the skate park, the objects at the skate park, the ramps, be used to engage people? Like, what type of things can be put there to kind of help all ages and different people from the community to come there?
Brilliant. Thank you very much. And I think that's something that we can think about as the project kind of goes forward. Before we get to sort of councils and everything, a key consideration around this project, as you heard from all the presentations and the paper, is around inclusivity. So Susanna, I know you'd like to say some things, if you would just like to.
Yes. I'm short. Here we go. This is going to be rather boringly a bit like the terms and conditions bit, but it is important. It's worth saying that I'm a resident of Frome, but I'm also an expert. I'm probably one of the top 5 experts in the UK on making public spaces more inclusive for women and girls. I work on it at a national level. Tomorrow I'm in a seminar with the Department of Transport. I'm flying to Northern Ireland next week to talk to all the councils and their contractors about making more inclusive spaces. I've worked specifically on teenage girls and parks as a co-founder of Make Space for Girls for 4 years, so I do know what I'm talking about. Now, the specific thing that Rob alluded to is the public sector equality duty. This says that a public authority should have due regard to eliminating discrimination, minimising disadvantage, taking steps to meet the differing needs of protected groups, and also encouraging them to take part in public life or any other activity where their participation is law. And I won't read you the details, but the case law says even if you think that you're doing all right, you have a duty to go and get the research and data. And I'm afraid to say that Frome Town Council policies are not data. And the result is that the documents that the council have produced around the skate park have not given councillors enough factual information to make a fair decision. For example, it says in the briefing document that the skate park, quote, helps increase a sense of belonging for all teenagers, regardless of gender or protected characteristics. The equality impact assessment says that the likely outcome of the skate park on the protected characteristic of sex is to create spaces that are safe for all, regardless of their biological or physiological characteristics. And under gender reassignment, it gets even better, to create a space that defies socially constructed characteristics of women and men. Now, I would love to see this lovely inclusive skate park because it does not exist. It does not exist in the UK, it does not exist in America, it does not exist in Australia or New Zealand or Canada. And so...
Let's just let Susanna speak for now. We'll come to questions.
So let's look at some research data. This is a published academic research co-authored by a professor writing about Nottingham, which is purportedly the most skate-friendly city in the UK, and supported by Skateboard GB. The conclusion is, quote, skateboarding spaces remain dominated by white, middle-class male participants with a historic prevalence of hyper-masculine and homophobic culture. Now, I could quote you another 10, 15 documents that say this. I cannot quote you a single document that supports what is in the Frome Town Council documents. It's basically vibes. Wouldn't this be lovely if this happened? At best, I would say it's misleading, but also crucially, interventions are not working. I've worked for 2.5 years with one of the skate park manufacturers to try and create more inclusive skate parks. I spoke to their designer about 8 months ago. He said, we're starting to build them. It's not changing the demographic. They're still massively dominated by boys and young men. And there's also evidence that programming, again, from the same Nottingham research project, programming doesn't work. It gets the girls on the skate park while there is somebody there to organise the programming, same with indoor skate parks. But as soon as that programming is gone, it does not have any effect on uptake of skateboarding. So let's go to some more missing statistics. 85% of skateboarders are male. 2% of teenage girls skateboard. I make that 21 girls in Frome. In surveys, 90% of girls. Yeah,
Hold on, can we just let Susanna speak, then we'll go to questions afterwards.
I'll be clear, I'm talking very specifically about the needs of teenage girls, because as you will see in a minute, at the moment, Frome has spent a lot of money on the needs of teenage boys. Play for younger people is a different subject, but they have spent nothing on the needs of teenage girls. And the research again says others in the space can actively harass and intimidate those participants who are seen as less entitled to use it. And that's women and girls. So this is the kind of data that if counsellors are going to make a really informed decision that you need. And Frome is not an exception. To give you just two examples, I gathered data a couple of years ago for Make Space for Girls. We gathered data across the country on the usage of skate parks and Mugas. Frome was worse than average. And interestingly, nobody at all was using the Midsummer Norton skate park. And I will note that the Frome skate park project has no girls anywhere on its website. And just to deal with Sky Brown, she lives in Japan and California. She has a skate park in her back garden. And there is research that suggests that while role models work for teenage boys, they actually make teenage girls more depressed and less likely to try things. So please, not any more Sky Brown. The other thing that's been left out is the wider finance thing. In Frome, we have a skate park, a Muga, and a pump track. So far, all of these, on average, are used 90% by boys and young men. So the council has spent, I've added it up, £127,000 on facilities which are 90% used by boys and young men. It's proposing to spend another £45,000 minimum on a facility which will, and you can say all you like, it's going to be lovely, but it's not, be used predominantly by boys and young men, and take out a £400,000 loan. And under the Equality Act, it's the decision to take out that loan. It doesn't matter where the money comes from. So that's north of £500,000 on facilities mostly used by men and boys. And how much on those used by women and girls? A big fat zero. Not 1 penny, not £1. Let's start with the missing £127,000, never mind the extra £400,000. And this has an impact. I've done loads of engagement work with teenage girls in Frome, 3 different things. They say they hate the bedroom culture, but there's nowhere else for them to go. And a skate park is not the place for them to go. And all of this finance is before we even think about Badgers Hill. And the research now shows that 90% of those who play in teams on pitches across England are men and boys. So that's more money being spent, 90% on men and boys. But that's not all. The skate park isn't just inequitable, it will actually make the park worse for teenage girls. There's clear research from America that demonstrates that girls are, I'm being laughed at.
Yeah,
I've sat through everything else. That's really rude.
Okay, everyone, let's just let her speak, let Susanna end, and then we will come and we'll have a discussion, but please do remain respectful.
And I can give you the footnotes and the research documents for every single piece of this, and they're on the website. And I note they're also that the council was recommended to look at Make Space for Girls, not by me. And a lot of this research is on their website, and it should have been included. But teenage girls are less likely to use a park. They're great news, parks are good. They're more active where there's a park, unless that park has a skate park. In which case they are less active. The Green Flag Awards, good luck with that, because that recommends putting a skate park well away from any facilities used by teenage girls. The only facility we have that teenage girls tell us they like in Frome is the big swing. If you put the skate park by it, they are going to be less likely to use it. And by saying we're bringing more people in outside, you're bringing more dodgy young men that they don't know and making them feel even less safe.
Can you just be careful about making accusations?
Well, but in the sense, I mean dodgy in the sense that they don't know them. Unknown young men.
Let's move on.
So, also, let's deal with antisocial behaviour.
Susanna, can you wrap up in about a minute, please?
Yes. The poster child for this is Dorchester, where the skate park apparently produced a 40% reduction in antisocial behaviour. That's because they were skateboarding down the front steps of the police station. It didn't change people's lives, it just moved the skateboarding. One final thing. Concrete. As a Green Council, I do not understand how you can justify dumping a load of concrete into the main green space in Frome. If concrete were a country, it would be the third largest emitter of CO2 after China and America. An indoor skate park with plywood would be much more sustainable. So I don't think that the data in any way justifies the skate park. I'm very happy to help with references, with gathering data, even with working with teenage girls for free. And if you agree to this motion, councillors, Frome will indeed be made differently. But the difference will be that unlike councils up and down the country, which are now realising how exclusive and unfair their provision for teenagers is, and how it doesn't conform to equality legislation, Frome will be different in clinging on to the embedded sexism and discrimination that it currently has in its parks and public spaces. So do you want to vote for old-fashioned exclusion and sexism, or do you want to create a better, fairer Frome?
Thank you, Susanna. Thank you. We really appreciate, as you said, you have a lot of expertise in this, and we really appreciate you taking the time to come to our council meeting tonight and to speak so passionately and to offer your view and your perspective. It is very much appreciated. We're going to stick on this as a sort of a theme. Would anyone like to speak or have any questions? Yes.
Hi. I'm going to stand up just so everyone can see. I'm a young member of this Frome community. I'm also sort of adjacent to the skate park community. And as a young woman, the last thing that I would ever want to do is support something that would isolate more young women, specifically vulnerable teenage girls. And I'm not personally myself a skater, but I have, over the years, from the age of 13, spent most of my time after school over at the skate park. I don't even have a wheeled sort of sport that I'm interested in. I simply would sit there and I would be amongst the community and talk and sort of have a place to be as a young person for free that was 5 minutes from my house. And then as I've gotten older, I went off to uni and I came back. And as an older woman, sat at the skate park fairly frequently, I have had a plethora of young people who have approached me specifically, obviously based on the fact that I am a woman. I received that sort of outreach, I guess. But they've reached out to me specifically, and I have had a number of very good interventions that have been able to take place with young, vulnerable people. I'm talking the ages of 8 was the youngest person I ever helped out at the skate park who was in a serious condition. Who has been able to approach the skate park specifically. So although I understand that the data that you've presented is national and it is done by surveys, as a member of the community, I would thoroughly disagree, because what we're aiming to do here is not necessarily change our community, but it's open it up to more people. It's not about making it more inclusive, it's about opening that and saying, we're going to transition this over here for this wonderful community that already exists. I think it's very well supported by older skaters that are in the room right now who have been teaching these this openness to younger people. And I just wanted to stand here and let everyone see that I am a young woman who fully supports this idea as someone who has been adjacent to the community.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Lisa, is it on this theme around inclusivity? Yes, brilliant. Go ahead.
Hi, thank you. Lisa Merriweather-Millard, Frome Town Councillor. I'm wondering if I could ask you a question, Susanna. You and I have had conversations in the past around inclusivity, around the park that was built recently at the Cheese Showgrounds. My understanding is that you're not or what I'd heard from you in previous conversations is that you're not against skate parks, and that there was a way to do them better. So that's the first part of it. And the second part is, I think there's possibly a challenge in trying to create a space that works for both boys and girls, men and women. And I'm all for inclusivity. And I'm also hearing your comments about the way in which the council has spent money and who uses space. So my second part of what I'm saying is, I suppose, to our councillors, is there a way that we can provide better facilities for girls and young women that maybe aren't necessarily this project? Does it have to be the same thing, is the question I'm asking. Okay. So first one to Susanna, please.
Is sort of how can we do it, like what does better look like is what you're asking.
What does better look like?
How do we do that?
I've got a whole set of web pages on that. But the first answer is that no, I'm not intrinsically against skate parks, but I think the location of this skate park is enormously problematic. Teenage girls, to feel safe, like busy parks. They like people around. They like toilets, which are really important if you're a teenage girl. I hate to say this, grappling with your first period. So the Mary Bailey and Victoria Park are the parks that they are most likely to go to. So putting the skate park in the centre of that park is really going to cause problems. And like I said, it is specifically advised in the supplementary guidance for the Green Flag Awards not to do this because of the deterrent and because of the way it...
In terms of how to make it better, is what you're saying is a lot of it is about location.
I think,
What would the location look like? What would be a better location?
I don't know enough about the drainage or the ownership to be able to say, but I would think that the Cheese Show Field, which is much bigger, is a much better alternative. I mean, it still knocks out all the questions about the public sector equality duty and money, which are, I think, enormous and colossal. But the problem is that, like I said, we've been trying for a few years to build better skate parks. They've done lots of research in Sweden. People have tried to build them, and it's not making a huge difference on inclusivity. The real answer to doing things better is go and talk to the teenage girls, and not in a mixed group because they can't talk about it properly. You know, there's all sorts of embarrassments and difficulties. But also, crucially, if you ask them what they want, they don't know because they've never seen it. 93% of what we provide across the UK is mugas, skate parks and pump tracks, which are mostly used by boys. Girls have no vision of what they want. So you have to spend time with them, you know, over a few sessions to get them to think about how they want to feel, what they want to look like. And then there's a whole raft of potential answers. The really easy answer is, quote, and I'm quoting, big swings that fit our bum.
Thank you, Susanna. Tracy, you had a question, and then I'll come to Lenka, and then I'll come back to Rob, because I think there's a question there about whether what we're doing on the, because this isn't just about the skate park, it's also about the broader, what the facilities are. So I'll come back to you, but if we just go Tracy and then Lenka.
I think I've formed this as a thought in my head. There's the question, what does better look like? There's also what can we do more differently, additionally for girls and women, which I don't think the two are mutually exclusive. I mean, it would appear that, you know, men and boys perhaps do use, not even perhaps, skate parks more. So the question there is, what else, what more, what differently can we do that isn't necessarily a skate park? Now, I don't know most, if any, a few faces I recognise of young men in the room, but I do know the mothers of several of the young men in this room, and I do know that they are great women, bringing up fantastic families, are very coherent. I mean, we've heard from Jojo, we've heard from Ed, we have heard the thoughts of Casper, and we started this with my colleague Anne talking about White Ribbon, and White Ribbon was about how can men and boys be allies to girls and women. So I think maybe I'm just full circling round to that if you've been made aware of these kind of problems, of these kind of statistics, maybe you know them anyway, maybe it's the first time you've heard them, but actually we can trust and hope and request that now you are aware of them, you might take it upon yourselves to be aware of that as well, because it is hugely important and we don't want this happening. And I think most of you don't want it happening to your friends and your sisters either. So with that White Ribbon full circle back, you know, can I just ask you to have a think about being part of that, and that will be part of the design and part of the way we move forward, and trust you to be friends with your women friends.
Thank you, Tracy. Lenka.
Hi, I also wanted to bring in, talking about inclusivity, there is a lack of play equipment or adventure equipment for those with disabilities. And, you know, there's no doubt that we need more things for young people to do. And you know, is this right? is that could that money be spent on other things? And you look at the number of children now not attending school. Most of them are girls. You know, a high number of girls with autism are now being diagnosed. So, you know, there's a lot of isolated people, teenagers, sitting in the room. So can we think about that, again, that more inclusivity, the play equipment being more actually accessible? You know, we haven't got, what have we got in Frome? We haven't, you know,
We
accessible
actually
swings.
have, and I think Rob can fill you in. I know that within the old Showfield, the new play design, there are specific parts of that are specifically for people with disabilities.
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking about this park here, you know.
Rob, I mean,
And also we have a problem with the toilets. I know it's kind of, we have
we-
mentioned toilets,
I
but
think we need to sort of talk about the sort of the other side of it, but I'm also keen that we don't get too distracted by sort of all play and Frome. It's a bit of a balance we're doing here. Well,
it's about spending the money, what we're spending money on, and is that the right thing to spend the money on? Is it reaching all the people, facilities?
Can we just sort of come back on that point about what the sort of the question that, or the point that Lisa was making, is that we could, sort of what do we have specifically for sort of women and girls, and is there a sort of an argument or a case for us to sort of allocate maybe a specific fund, a specific amount for play equipment that is specifically for women and girls, and I would include people with disabilities as well in that.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think the debate on inclusivity, is really key to everything that we do, and so the questions you ask are, paramount. When we did, I mean, we don't want to stray into other projects, but when we did the refurbishment, £176,000 refurbishment of the play area in the Showfield, in the same way, inclusivity was at the heart of everything we did. And that was in the consultation, that was in the co-design. And so there is a wheelchair-friendly trampoline, there is a wheelchair-friendly large swing, and the aim was that even on the sand pit at the bottom, there's a wheelchair-friendly ramp that leads you not just to nothing, it leads you to an activity when you get there. We've tried as much as we can. We hear, there's always more to do. I couldn't agree more that we need more play equipment for people with disabilities in Victoria Park. No question. Does that mean we shouldn't do something with the skate park? I mean, that's a moot point, isn't it? Are they mutually exclusive? The thing is, the skate park is dying. Something has got to be done. Now, one option is we remove the skate park and we say no skate park in Mary Bailey. It is an option, and ultimately it's a political decision. I can't really say more than that. But there is a lot of desire in this room, in the community, expressed through all the engagement that we've done for there to be a better skate park. I think we can really embed inclusivity in how we go about that, including for disabled groups. There are very great examples of where that's worked very well. And in terms of, inclusivity is about all protected characteristics. It's not just about gender, but in terms of gender, we know that, and this was also embedded in the project in the Showfield, that if you make social spaces, that they're much more attractive to everyone. And so we would definitely work not just on the adrenaline-fueled concrete, we would work on the surrounding area with a view to making it a destination for everybody, including people in wheelchairs. Okay. I'll just finish by saying, even if we did this project, it would not stop us seeking to put more wheelchair-friendly facilities in Mary Bailey, because I absolutely agree with that. We did the changing places at a cost of quite substantial.
Yeah, because that's the issue, is that because there's the changing places there, but there's no equipment.
No, I couldn't agree more.
You know what I mean? And
the question is whether it's exclusive to this decision, or can you have both?
And it could be that, I'm just trying to think of sort of a way forward here, sort of separate to this decision, that we sort of ask Rob to go away and sort of come back to our next council meeting, or it might be assets and infrastructure committee meeting, with a sort of, or we sort of look at this specifically and with a sort of an idea of like what, putting aside a pot of money and what we could do with that. Maybe that's a way forward that could sort of specifically tackle this. Lots of people have had their hands up. You're just going to have to be patient. I'm trying to get through everyone in order that I saw. Sue, if you want to speak.
Is it on? Yeah. Hello, I'm Sue Bucklow. I'm chair of Frome Skate Park Project. It's been very interesting listening to what everybody has to say. Obviously, I haven't got lots of statistics to give. I'm not that prepared. But I would say it is definitely, you've talked about perhaps, an option is taking away the skate park. It is, as it stands, it is most definitely the most popular piece of equipment in the park, 100%. My mum lives in Longleat Court. I'm there a lot. I look at the skate park all day. It is used all day by different people. It's very nice to see. The young kids use it in the morning after school drop off. During the day, there's a lot of women skaters there. There's a lot of older skaters using it during the day. And after school, it is absolutely rammed with kids from all backgrounds, all genders. Everybody's there using the skate park. It is the most popular piece of equipment in the park. It can't be taken away. It needs to be replaced, and it needs to be much better. Now, I don't know, Susanna said about statistics of male skaters. I would like to see the statistics, and it would be interesting if we look at how a few years ago, how many, it was probably male dominated on the football field. It was probably male dominated on the rugby field. But at the moment, we're in the middle of the Women's Rugby World Cup. We've just had the most successful women's football. There's more people watching women's football than there is watching men's football. It is inspiring people. Yes, we're in the early days of women feeling confident to go on there and skate. But you can't just take those facilities away because there aren't enough women using them at the moment. There will be. They are going to be inspired by everything going on. And I know from Bradford Avon Skate Park, and speaking to them then, they have the girls' skate sessions. They have the Bristol skate women come over and teach. It is hugely popular. When we had the last skate jam and Dave was running the skate lessons in the morning, there were so many girls. We had to add extra sessions. There were so many girls skating. They just need to get the confidence to then, when they're older, carry on with it. And it will happen. And it will happen because the skate park will be placed in a much better position. And it'll be so much more open. They'll have young kids next to them. And again, the statistics are, I haven't got them off the top of my head, but it does work having skate parks next to young play. It's inspiring. It'll be open and there will be people using it. And for all those reasons, and for all the people who've bothered to come here tonight, it is a really good thing to have a new skate park. I can't say enough how important it is to everybody, and how the feedback we had from all the skate jams was, this is what people want. They want a new skate park. Parents of kids want it. People from all backgrounds want it. Kids will come in from the local villages and use it. It will be very valuable. It'll be the best asset and the best way of spending money. And we're not divisive. We're not saying, the skater community is a very friendly community, skater, scooter, BMXs. They want to see, it's been made into a divisive subject. It's not. We want progression, not regression. We're not saying, because it's a new skate park, there can't be anything else in the park. Of course there should be, teenage girls should be spoken to. Girls from all age groups should be spoken to. And yes, there should be that equipment there. We're not saying there can't be that equipment. And when if you were to go away and look at all the skate jams that are held at places like Concrete Waves, which is the big skate park in Cornwall. It's fantastic. There are disabled skaters using those facilities. There are people from all backgrounds using those facilities. And that is what will happen with Frome Skate Park when we get this built. Sorry, thank you.
Thank you. Polly first. Polly, you go.
Just want to take a moment to speak up for young men. I'm a little bit concerned that the dominating feature of the whole meeting here is seeming to be really about whether or not this is suitable for young women as well as young men. A lot of young people came here tonight, and they are in the main young men from this skate park community, and I feel that there's nothing more divisive than making a room full of young men feel apologetic for being men. I think that I speak as a mother of 3 young men and 1 young woman, and I think that there are opportunities here that we're talking about for the future of sport, and we're also talking about opening up the park to create a space where we want to try and make it a really good facility, something that people say, wow, that's amazing. I really want to stop and see what those people are doing. Look at the skill that's involved there. And the fact that this sort of agenda item has sort of been rather dominated by one particular aspect of that, not what we can do for young people, but only what we can do for young women, I just think is really skewing whether or not we make a decision this evening for this fantastic piece of equipment that we could make
No, but there's nothing for young women.
No, hold on. Susanna, please calm down. That's not appropriate behaviour. Okay. Everyone, I think I agree with what you're saying, Pauline. But I don't want us to, we've got a lot to discuss in terms of the finances. There's still questions. We're going to leave the topic of inclusivity now behind and just like let that sit. No, there's no. So if anyone's got any questions about the finance side of this, I just want to go to that. Anne, you've been wanting to speak from the beginning.
Mine is about finances, and I want to reinforce the way the Public Works Loan Board works. It's not like a mortgage. When you take out a loan, at outset, it's for a fixed term at a fixed interest rate. So if, when we take out the loan, if we were to take out the full £400,000 loan, there's no benefit to us paying that back early. So my question is, have we considered, as the safety net that the PWLB loan might provide is for match funding, if the whole project might cost £400,000, could we look at the option of us providing a safety net of up to £200,000, and that would allow us to provide a safety net, to provide match funding as required, but perhaps not even, I know it's not committing us, but not even thinking about the full £400,000, but match funding to £200,000.
I think that's probably one for Sarah, isn't it? I think the question there, though, is I think we have sort of looked at this in that even if we agree tonight for 400k or 200k, we can draw down 50. We can own, and then we only pay back 50. But can I just get Sarah to clarify that?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. So we can just, even if the vote tonight is sort of, you know, in principle, but it doesn't commit us to drawing down any of it, that will come back to council, and we can.
It will come back to council.
It will come back to council. Philip, Ruth.
I'll stand up. I'm Ruth Nagg. I'm a fundraiser, and I just wanted to point out that most of the money won't come from this loan. The money will come from a whole bunch of other grant funding sources, probably a big crowdfunder. That's usually what happens. And we've had other really big projects like the tennis courts. So I'm the mother of 3 girls. None of them are teenagers anymore, but they were all teenagers, and they all played tennis. So there was quite a lot of worry about those extra tennis courts when we put those in the Mary Bailey field. Everybody was saying, oh, it's part of the tennis club. And it's not, and they're really well used. I have no idea what the split is between men and women. But the point is that was in the hundreds of thousands, and I was a little bit involved with raising the money for that. I mean, hardly any of it's going to come from you guys. So that's one thing. And then the second thing...
professional opinion that you think that the money is out there, that you do feel like this is...
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's
easy.
good to hear. Thank you. Easy.
I mean, there's loads of things going on raising money in Frome that I'm involved with, but this is a really good sporty one. It's different to the other things. It's great. But the other thing I just wanted to ask was... You've put away 45,000 in your proposal to cover the cost of a fundraiser. If we could do that with less money, could we put some of that in as a sort of angel investment start off, because all fundraising campaigns really benefit from showing that you've got a start off donation from Frome Town Council. You did that for us when we did Save Open Spaces, which, you know, we got 300,000 in 6 months. So just saying, we can do it, but it is great to have some council support. And I mean, there are some good volunteer fundraisers around here, looking at you, Sue Bucklow, that I could help, and I don't think you need to spend 45k on it.
Rob, can I go to you on that?
Yeah, thank you, Ruth. And absolutely, if we, what we're voting on, what we would be voting on tonight is the principle of recruiting the resource we need. It doesn't have to be all the 45, and the remainder could go to pump priming the project and go towards match funding. Also, just to say that the skate park community have been very active already and already have 5 figures. So there is a starting pot.
I think, yeah, so Lisa and then Andy. That's okay. Or Andy, you've got the microphone, you go first.
Yeah, mine's a very quick one. My understanding is that actually, even if we were providing funding for a fundraiser, that could be considered part of the sums for match funding. Is that correct, Ruth? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Great. Lisa.
Fundraising post, and I know that you didn't want to talk about gender inequality anymore, but wondering if that post could also look to raise some funds to provide some capital to possibly put in some things that are maybe better used or more suited to girls and teenagers. And I'm not saying that girls and teenagers don't use the skate park. I just don't want this to be a gender issue. I want to support the boys and the men who want to use the skate park and the girls who want to, but I can't do that in good faith without knowing that there are funds that are going to support other.
Okay. Rob, would you like to come back on that? And then Carla.
I think the project is seeking to get as many voices as possible in terms of the facility, the surrounding space, how that's designed, how that's made as inclusive as possible. In terms of could we raise funds for other things beyond that, I think that's a separate project. I don't think that's this project. And I think what's being voted on tonight is, do we want to go ahead with the skate park project, bearing in mind we want to make it as inclusive as possible?
But we are also voting on funding somebody to raise the funds for it, which I can't in good faith do if it's just raising it for the skate park.
Yeah, hold on. So,
my view is that's the worst sort of scope creep. We've got a very defined project here, and to start adding that on the side risks diverting what we're trying to achieve.
And that's fine, but I just can't vote in good faith for that.
Okay.
And I want to vote for the skate park, but the way that it's set up prevents me from doing what I want to do.
okay, Carla, can I come to you?
Thank you, everybody. So I'm on the steering committee for the skate park, and it involved, with the early discussions. I remember meeting you, Ed, way back when, with your little petition of sign up for interest. It's the first time I've heard those statistics. So part of me is like, have we really done our research? Hearing that, that in terms of the research, I'm not talking in terms of our intention or the intentions of, the people in this room, but if the research shows that actually having the only resource that we have, which is that swing currently, which is what the research shows girls love, and we're going to put the skate park right next to it, and the research shows that that is going to put off some teenage girls because they will feel threatened. It doesn't mean that the people using the skate park are threatening. We know that as women in this world, there are men and boys that are threatening, and we don't know which ones they are. So to me, it's just concerning that at this stage, I've only really realised, okay, we don't actually specifically have anything for teenage girls. It doesn't mean we shouldn't do this, but agreeing with Lisa really that I would like us to commit to actually doing that research with the teenage girls in Frome of what they want. And as you say, if we just give them options of skate park, pump track, mugger, because we know we also live in a world where men and boys' needs have been historically prioritised. So I'm a bit agreeing with Lisa really in the sense of I absolutely want this to go through. I'm on the steering committee because I really care about it, and yet bringing to my attention that actually, I don't know, it's the timing really of like, do we pause it and do some more research? It doesn't mean it's a no. Yeah.
I mean, can I come back to my sort of suggestion, and it's sort of a question to all councillors, is that if we were to sort of ask Rob to sort of go away and along with the communities team and to sort of, and to maybe look at how we could sort of find that outside of specific to Frome, whether it is a sort of specific bit of engagement with young women in Frome, which the sort of communities team can lead on, and also then sort of looking at doing a bit of an inventory audit of all our play equipment, so sort of an EIA. Is that a piece of work that we think would be sort of helpful to us as a group of councillors? Hannah?
Just to say, it's worth mentioning at this point that there's some another planned project in Mary Bailey that is the co-design project that's happening that Nikki Cox is leading on with Rob. I don't know if you want to say any more about that one, Rob?
Yeah, so that's a project for an area just beyond where the existing skate park is now, to look at how that space can be made more engaging for younger people, all genders, and that is specifically a co-design project. So the principle there is that we are handing over the design to a group of people, which will be facilitated, but it's their design. So that is an example where we are enabling, not just for any one gender, it's specifically to enable Mary Bailey to be more inclusive. And if I can just briefly say, in our research, one thing we did do is we went to a couple of skate parks. One of them was Portishead, which was on that slide. It's right next to a younger person's play area. They had nothing but praise for the match of skate park and younger play. We can do research if we want to, but we well,
can you use a microphone?
We've had that conversation. I've heard that research. It's not about the fact that it's next to younger play. It's the fact that it's next to the only item that we have that we know that teenage girls use.
Is it that the only item? Because I don't think that's true.
I don't think that. I think we're getting into a wide debate. The co-design is going to be very much for all users of the park.
Yeah, but that's also different because it's a co-design for everybody, which is perfect, and we're asking everybody. But what we don't know is, what do teenage girls want? If we were to only ask, would we get something different? And I'm just saying that we don't know.
I hear what you're saying. I suppose where I'm coming from with this is I take us back to the fact we've got a decision to take. The old skate park is dying. Given that the old skate park is dying, do we abandon it? Do we refresh it? If we refresh it, we want to make it as inclusive as possible, but it is a legitimate point to take that we don't want it at all. But we've got to do something.
Okay.
And just to continue this, so we absolutely do, and it's not, for me, it's yes, it needs replacing. I just don't want to rush a decision. Like, we've waited this long, we can wait another month or another 2 months. So it's not like, I don't want to create a false deadline. Tonight is not it's. We've added that deadline.
I think you can vote, not to vote for it, and then because you would like more information. Can I just ask if there is a member of the community that'd like to speak?
Sorry, this
your
might.
Name?
I'm Joe. This might be me arriving late, but I'm just curious as to what would be your ideas for, or kind of the ideas that have been floating about for spaces for kind of teenage girls, and how would you guarantee that they wouldn't perhaps get filled up with men as well, men and teenage boys?
Lisa, do you want to come back on that? Then we do need to go to a vote.
Thanks, Joe. I don't want places that are specifically for girls and specifically for boys. But if you set up a music school, you could set it up outside my house. There's no way I'm joining it. So it's just that lots of people have different interests. And it's seemingly, according to Susanna's research, that I've done some of my own, that more boys use the skate park than girls do. I don't have a problem with that. I'm challenged by the fact that, according to the research and some that I've done on my own, there doesn't seem to be enough that holds the interest of girls. So if boys use that space as well, that's great. I don't think we're prepared to make this decision. That's how I'm feeling. And I'm desperate to support the skate park. I'm desperate to do it. I just don't feel like I have the information that makes me feel comfortable making the decision, because I feel like we're perhaps not doing enough to support girls and women. And I don't want that to be at the cost of supporting boys and men. But I think we've made a mistake.
Okay, I think we need to wrap up. Steve, I know you had your hand up. Do you have anything to say? I think we do need to go to a vote, guys, because we've got lots of other items on the agenda. I will just ask, because there is a young woman that wants to speak, and given what the conversation has been about, can you get a microphone? But last person speak, and then we're going to go to a vote.
Hi, my name's Connie. I just thought, because a lot of the conversation tonight's about teenage girls, that it might be helpful for a teenage girl to talk about what she thought. I'm very much pro the skate park project, because I think, contrary to a lot of popular opinion, sometimes helping young boys helps girls too. And in this age where so many young boys are sat in their room, antisocial, without community, watching posts that are very harmful, building this community where so many young boys have shown up tonight for a project they feel is important, that shows how important it is. And I just don't think that can be undermined. That's so inspiring to see, for girls too, a community that's come together in support of each other, and that supports girls too. Girls can use a skate park, and I just think this outdated opinion that just because they're not using it, girls don't like it, is crazy. I used to want to skateboard, and I've seen these facilities, and I'm not a pro skater, but I can say that they're outdated. And I just think this, supporting these young boys is so important, because it supports girls too. This idea that it's not supporting girls is ludicrous. And I just want the council to recognise that they could do something really important tonight for the community, and I hope you make the right decision.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, let me get the recommendations up. Thank you very much that you spoke incredibly well. Thank you. I am going to ask directly, and I will pick it up as chair, that we'll have a conversation with sort of different, I can't sort of think exactly what it will look like, but we will come back to council at some point with something around what our provision is generally. Maybe it is sort of doing an EIA across all our open spaces or something, but I'm just sort of saying that I will pick that up. I'm not saying that will change how anyone votes, but I'm just sort of putting that out there. So we have 3 recommendations tonight, and we are voting on them all separately. So the first recommendation is basically the principle of it is what we're voting on, which is to approve the plan to relocate the skate park to near the younger children's play area. So all councillors in favour of that as a oh, can I have someone who proposes that? Andy Rintmore, I know how much you feel about that. So you propose it. A seconder, Philip Campagna. All those in favour?
That's a majority.
That's a majority. Are you abstaining or voting against?
I'm abstaining. It's not. I feel I don't have enough information,
Fine.
and it's definitely not against. Okay, it's.
Lisa, are you abstaining or voting against? Keep it quick.
As I've said, I desperately want to support the skate park, but I'm going to have to vote no, because I don't think we have enough information. But I'm in total agreement of the skate park.
Thank you. So that's 1 abstention and 1 no. Okay, the next recommendation is around the backstop proposal of a PWB fund. To be crystal clear, this is not voting to draw down this money. It is voting to apply for this money, and we can then draw down anything under that amount. So it could be that we only draw down 50k, but the process takes 6 months and there is a deadline approaching, I think, is the kind of, so it's to kind of get it up. So the recommendation is to agree to take out a PWLB, that is a Public Work Loan Board loan, in principle of up to 400k with the precise amount that is to be drawn down to be decided by council, long sentence, once the total cost of the project is determined and net of any grant funds raised. Noting that the indication is that there are grants available so long as match funding is made available, in this case via a PWB loan, referred to as option 1 in the report. So can I get someone to propose that? Andy Jones, can I get all those councillors in favour? Oh, a seconder, Tracy, all those in favour? Okay. Majority, and can I just ask one word, literally, abstain or abstain? No, great. And then the final recommendation is to allocate from the new project's budget an EMR, so earmarked reserve, a max total of 45k to pay for professional fundraising, noting that the exact nature of engaging the specialism, officer post or contractor, to be decided later in consultation with the HR team, project management and staff contractor management to be provided from within the existing staff body and the relevant managers to be delegated to ensure that there is capacity by reducing other areas of work. Right. Proposer for that one, Polly, a seconder, Andy Wintmore, all those in favour? Great. That's a majority. Same question to you two. Abstain? No. Skate park's going ahead, guys. Hold on a sec. You're going to get me emotional. I just want to say this has been a project that I think I heard about really early on when I became a councillor that has been stuck for a really long time. And it has been, I've also been part of the steering group, it has been a massive team effort. And it's also taken a couple of, I think, moments of genius from Rob in terms of thinking about how this could be done. And actually it was Steve who came up with the suggestion at the oversight meeting of why don't we just move it into the middle of the Mary Bailey playing field. It has been a massive team effort and I'm sure it will continue to be. And I just want to say thank you to everyone and yeah, great.
I've just got a really, really important interruption that isn't the normal way of doing things, where we've got a speaker who wants to just step forward, I think. Do you want to step forward and say something?
Hi.
Say your name and then say whatever it is you want to say.
Luca, my name is Luca, and we're really happy to have this skate park. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Luca.
Thank you to all members of the community and thank you to everyone who sort of came along and made points and spoke so passionately. It is really, really appreciated. Thank you. We are going to, hold on just one moment. Pause for a couple of minutes. If you would like to leave, you're welcome to leave now. You are welcome to stay to hear about the Key Centre and a digital platform, but you might want to leave. I'll just give you a couple of minutes to file out.
Sorry, I couldn't be more involved. No. I'm happy involved. You were a conduit right at the beginning, so very cool. She was compelling though. She got a knot in the stomach. Absolutely. Just when you think, yeah.
Don't hate me, don't hate me.
One of our own steering.
I know.
No, it's fine. No. Yeah.
I think we will.
Guys, just a minute, so please do leave. If you're going to leave, please do leave. We've still got a lot to get through. Can we?
Setting the snowball through what we have today.
Guys, it's almost 9 o'clock, so please do leave and then we need to get started again. Okay, guys, 30 seconds. Rob, Carla, please sit down. 30 seconds. We need to get on. Okay.
Nice work.
Yeah, so 9:30. Yeah, go. You can go quickly. It's fine. I think we can probably get through 2 in half an hour. Key centre and digital platform. Let's give it a go, and then we'll see. But I'd rather not. I don't want to postpone either. Like they've both got a time limit. They've both. Yes. Guys, we're going to crack on. Guys, please do take a seat. We do need to get going. It's almost 9 o'clock and we've still got 2 items to go, plus all the other little meetings at the end. We need a resolution. It will be a vote to continue beyond 2.5 hours, but I will keep going to then. We have up next a discussion on building community resilience. Because that is not a decision, I'm going to defer that to next time or to another meeting. Rachel. Let's do the key centre and then we'll see where we are at the end of that. So up next is an update on the key centre and next steps for the nursery tenancy. So Hannah's presenting this. This did include a video, and obviously we can't do videos, but I'm going to ask Rachel if she can put up both this video and the skate park video on social media so that we can all see them. But over to you, Hannah.
I think we might be able to do the video.
Oh, okay.
I think we might be able to do a live narration.
Exciting.
Well, if you can see the... Yeah. Hi, I'm Hannah Stopford, Engagement Lead, Communities Team. And what are we doing? Not what I thought we were doing. We're doing a brief update on the key centre. So the sort of details in the report that went out, but the key centre that's been transferred over to Frome Town Council 3 months ago. Nikki Cox, our partnership lead, should really be up here with me because she's been working hard on this too. But I expect she's having a much nicer time in Paris. But we've got Liz here and Sarah Walton. So Liz, one of our engagement officers, and Sarah Walton, the key centre coordinator,
Nikki Cox,
who are really key to this work here, and they'll be able to help answer any questions hard on this too if they come up. But I expect she's having a much nicer time in Paris. It's but we've got Liz centre, but also there is a decision to be made around the nursery one of our engagement officers, and Sarah Walton, the key centre coordinator now. Nikki Cox, if we can get the video here, and they'll be able to help answer any questions on this too if they come up. But it does. But we've got Liz here, but also there is a decision to be made.
Welcome to the Key Centre, Cabin and Community Garden. This space has an incredible background.
This space has a lot of meaning.
Welcome to the Key Centre, Cabin and Community Garden.
And Community Garden.
This space has an incredible background. Welcome to the Key Centre and a lot of meaning and Community Garden. Bringing the Key Centre. This space has an incredible background. It's a great opportunity to restore it as a vital community hub. Welcome to the Key Centre. We understand its heritage. This space has an incredible background. Welcome to the Key Centre and a lot of meaning and community hub. Bringing the Key Centre reignite it as an incredible background. It's a great opportunity to restore it as a vital community hub. Talking to residents and stakeholders and creatively understand its heritage. This space has an incredible background. Welcome to the Key Centre and a lot of meaning and community hub. Bringing the Key Centre reignite it as an incredible background. It's a great opportunity to restore it as a vital community hub. Talking to residents and stakeholders and creatively understand its heritage. This space has an incredible background. Welcome to the Key Centre and a lot of meaning and community hub.
Hi, thank you. Hannah, I'm just wondering if there are, in terms of what we're trying to achieve within your city, do we have any idea about exactly what that is? And the reason I'm asking that is because I know that many women who have children to go back to work
Hannah, I'm just
don't
wondering
find
if
the
there are,
government subsidies sufficient
in terms of what
enough
we're trying to achieve within your city,
to be able to
do we
put their
have
children
any
in
idea about
childcare.
exactly what that is?
And
And the
many
reason I'm asking
nurseries
that is
increase
because I
payment
know that
many women who have children to go back to
Hannah,
work
I'm just
don't
wondering
find
if
the
there are,
government subsidies
in
sufficient
terms of what we're
enough
trying to achieve
to
within your city,
to be able
do
to
we
put their
have
children in
any idea
childcare.
about exactly what that is?
And
And the
many
reason I'm asking
nurseries
that
increase
is because I
payment
know that
many
many
women
women
who
who
have
have
children
children
discounts. So
Hannah, I'm just
don't
wondering
find
if there are,
a nursery
in terms of what we're trying to
that
achieve within your city,
to be able
do
to
we
put their
have
children
any
in
idea
childcare.
about exactly what that is?
I'll be looking for nurseries that would support low-income families. And I'm just wondering if a nursery trying to choose a nursery I'll be looking for nurseries that would support low-income families. And I'm just wondering if any nursery trying to choose in terms of people who are looking for nurseries, for the population, there is a shortage of it. I know that there are plenty of nurseries. Any nursery trying to choose in terms of people who are looking for nurseries, for the population, there is a shortage of it. I know that there are plenty of nurseries. Any nursery trying to choose in terms of people who are looking for nurseries, because they can't send their kids to nursery because they don't get enough funding. So they wouldn't be recorded as
Any nursery
because they wouldn't be in terms of people who are looking for nurseries, because they can't send their kids to nursery because they don't get enough funding. So they wouldn't be recorded as
any nursery
because they wouldn't be in terms of people who are looking for nurseries, because they can't send their kids to nursery because they don't get enough funding. So they wouldn't be recorded as
any nursery
because they wouldn't be in terms of people who are looking for nurseries, because they can't send their kids to nursery because they don't get enough funding. So they wouldn't be recorded as
any nursery
because they wouldn't be in terms of people who are looking for nurseries,
In the interest of time, I don't expect to be able to
can't send
answer
their kids to nursery because they don't get enough funding. So they wouldn't be
I've already
recorded
seen
as
two in this regard.
because they wouldn't be in terms of people who are looking
And
for nurseries,
in the interest of time, I don't expect
can't
anyone
send their
to.
kids to nursery because they don't get enough funding.
I think it
So
could be
they wouldn't be
prudent to
recorded
note that two is no in this regard. But
because they wouldn't be in terms of people who are looking
and
for
in the interest of time, I don't expect anyone to.
For opinion.
I think it
Have you
could.
found any horror written
I've already
about
seen
particular programs
two is no in
that
this
would
regard.
set aside some maintenance money, but
in terms of people who are looking
And in the interest of time, I don't expect anyone to.
for opinion.
I think
Have
it
you
could.
found any horror written
I've already
about
seen
particular programs
two is no in
that
this
would
regard.
set aside some maintenance
Hi,
money,
I'm
but
Sarah. I'm the Key Centre coordinator. So I've been in place for 3 months.
In the interest of time, I don't expect
So hit
anyone
the
to.
ground
for
running.
opinion.
Very busy.
I think
Have
it
you
could.
found any horror written
Be a
about
testing the learn phase as well for me, as
that
well
would
as
set aside
everything
some
else that's
maintenance
going
money,
on. So
but
I've been incredibly focused on my small furniture. So I've been in place for 3 months. With regards to building, we had plumbing
for opinion.
flooding. Very busy.
I think
With
it
Have you
could.
found any horror
it's
written
been a bit of
about
testing the learn, which is fine for me, as
that
well
would
as we're
set
exploring
aside
everything else
some
that's going
maintenance
on.
money,
So
but
I've been incredibly
have you
focused on my
found
small
managed to
furniture. So I've been in place for 3 months. With regards to building, we had plumbing
for opinion.
flooding. Very busy.
Have you found any horror
It's
written
been a bit of
about
testing the learn, which is fine for me, as well as we're
stories
exploring
about
everything else
your
that's going on. So I've been incredibly focused on my
department
small
approach to
furniture. So I've been
counselling,
in place for
and
3 months. With regards to building, we had plumbing
for opinion.
flooding. Very busy.
Have you found any horror
It's
written
been a bit of
about
testing the learn, which is fine for me, as well as we're exploring everything else that's going on. So I've been incredibly focused on my small furniture. So I've been in place for 3 months. With regards to building, we had plumbing flooding. Very busy. It's been a bit of testing the learn, which is fine for me, as well as we're exploring everything else that's going on. So I've been incredibly focused on my small furniture. So I've been incredibly focused on my small furniture. So I've been incredibly focused on my small furniture. So I've been incredibly focused on my small furniture. So I've been incredibly focused on my small furniture. So
So if yeah,
for me, as well as we're exploring everything else that's going on. related. As I remember when I visited, the actual site security isn't necessarily that big, the external perimeter I'm talking member was a little bit wider, and that leads me to sort of safeguarding concerns generated of an audit isn't necessarily when I visited Frome, the actual security isn't necessarily that big, the external perimeter I'm talking member was a little bit wider, and that leads me to sort of safeguarding concerns generated of an audit isn't necessarily when I visited Frome, the actual security isn't necessarily that big, the external perimeter I'm talking member was a little bit wider, and that leads me to sort of safeguarding concerns generated of an audit isn't necessarily when I visited Frome, the actual security isn't necessarily that big, the external perimeter I'm talking member was a little bit wider, and that leads me to sort of safeguarding concerns generated of an audit isn't necessarily when I visited Frome, the actual security isn't necessarily that big, the external perimeter I'm talking member was a little bit wider, and that leads me to sort of safeguarding concerns generated of an audit isn't necessarily when I visited Frome, the actual security isn't necessarily that big, the external perimeter I'm talking member was a little bit wider, and that leads me to sort of safeguarding concerns generated of an audit isn't necessarily when I visited Frome, the actual security isn't necessarily that big, the external perimeter I'm talking member was a little bit wider, and that leads me to sort of safeguarding concerns generated of an audit isn't
Thank you. So I had some other slides, but I think I'll skip them because they're duplicated in the report anyway, and they just speak about the benefits and challenges of the platform. One thing that I think is important to state is that this isn't about replacing the engagement that we do in person. This is to complement it, hopefully work really well in tandem with it, and maybe cut down on some admin time so that we have more time to spend talking to people. So I'm going to try to share my screen now. I'm not sure how to do that.
Is it? Need to share the screen.
Okay, so first of all, just a disclaimer that everything here is something that I've made up to show the functions of the platform. So these aren't necessarily real engagement projects that we have planned or how we would necessarily do them. So please ignore the content, focus on the functionality. So the first thing to show you is just this homepage. Everyone has to sign in with an email address and their name. We can ask for some additional information on sign up as well if we want to. And they have full control over their own data on the platform. They can delete their contributions. They can delete their profile if they want to. So I've created a project here called Creating a More Vibrant Market Yard. And if we click into this, you'll see there's a folder of projects here. On the left is a bit of a description about what it is and the space that we're talking about. This is the Frome Riverside area where the market yard is. And there are a range of consultations that all use different methods. So the first one, like the most basic kind of engagement, a Frome Canoe Club, for instance, if they wanted to, they could partner with us and we could run a survey on their behalf. They could be project managers, so they can create their own survey, they can see their own results. Frome, River Frome and Riverbank. So this is a map-based engagement. Anyone can put a pin anywhere here, and all the comments, everyone can see the comments on the left side. They can add their own likes or their own comments in response to people. We can also provide official updates here. For instance, we could thank this gentleman for letting us know that the plaque is vandalised on the Jensen Button Bridge, let him know that we are in the process of getting a new one installed. Another way to engage this shows a more formal process where organisations, non-profit organisations would apply with a proposal to use the Changing Places building. And it gives...
Doing great.
It gives some information on who's eligible to apply and what the value of the space is. There's also an event that they can come to get some support in applying. And then they would go through like a formal form here. You'll also see that there's a timeline on each project, so people can see what all the phases are. They can see who would be doing the shortlisting project and the shortlisting section and how that would work. And then they would see that afterwards, after the formal shortlisting process, it would move on to a public vote.
I guess, could I just sort of add in there, because I think what's really interesting there is that it's the whole process, rather than just sort of going out and asking people's opinion or view on one thing, it's sort of like you're then able to be in communication with them and to kind of go back to them and say, and we've now done this, and we're now doing this, and do you want to vote on this? So it's sort of holding it through the whole process. And I think the demo that Miles has done really sort of demonstrates that, but I just kind of wanted to emphasize that point.
Thanks. So this is another example. It's a Frome Weekly Markets one. We could show people some background that there was a working group that came together, they decided on how to consult the public, and then they asked people to share some fun activities that they could bring to the Wednesday market to liven it up a bit. This is one of the ways of voting on the platform, where people could have to get, say, 20 votes in 50 days, and any that get 20 votes, as long as they're feasible, they could be done at one of the markets as a fun activity.
Yes, because it's by email address. So yeah, there are, yeah.
Yeah, people would generally have to be signed in. There is an option with surveys and with some voting that we could set it that people can do it anonymously, but generally people have to be signed into the platform, or they will have to confirm their email address. You don't have to. It might depend on the project as to how we set it up. In a minute, I'll show you a youth project that we could set up that shows how we can sort of semi-anonymize people.
Yeah, if you finish your presentation, then we'll go to questions afterwards.
The final section of this part is something around the cheese and grain. This shows how potentially you could set up a working group. I mean, you could also, if it was just a more informal thing, you could just have people click a button, say, I volunteer. But if you wanted people to sort of commit and for something that's more in depth, you can, you can have a role description here, you can have an application form and do things in that way. And there are also some events here people could come along to find out more, to see if it's the right thing for them. And again, it shows what the working group selection process would be, who would decide on that, and then what people could expect from their first couple of months in the working group. And there's also a private group here. So this is visible to me because I've assigned myself as part of the working group, but this wouldn't be visible to anyone who is not in that group. This is just a basic discussion space, but of course you could also make like a more complicated folder with different types of engagement. Because, as I said, I can only see this because I'm part of the working group. We can also do that kind of thing with the information that people gave us on signing up. So for instance, if we had some engagement around the skate park project, we could make it so that we make a discussion page that's only visible to, say, women and girls under 25 or under 30.
So you can do really targeted engagement.
Yeah. Only visible to them, so that they know that that's a space that won't be like visible to the whole community. So the last part is a youth fund project, and this shows participatory budgeting. So this is just a two-stage thing. People can see that in the first stage, community groups proposed their ideas for young people. And as long as they were feasible, they were within the budget, they got moved onto the voting stage. Again, we can provide an official update. So on this one, we provided an official update to say that the project submission, unfortunately, was over the total budget, so it couldn't go forward. And then moving on to the voting stage, this explains that there's a pot of £1,500. People can assign it however they want to. So if I add, I want this one, I want this one. If I go over, it will tell me that I don't have enough budget. But I can, as long as I'm within the budget, I can submit my vote. We could also allow young people to comment on this, but they would only have to provide an email confirmation, maybe with their college email addresses, and their names would be anonymous. So I don't know if you've ever been on like a Google Doc where it calls you like a curious badger or something. That's the kind of anonymization that it could do. That we wouldn't even have access to their names. We would only be able to see their email addresses in the back end, and we could delete those as soon as the project finishes.
Can I wrap up just because I'm really aware of time? Is that all right? Because I just want to say, first of all, thank you so much, Miles, because you basically created a demo site. Like, that is, like, one of the things I think we found in the sort of conversations we've been having about this is what this platform is. It's basically like a toolbox, like loads of different tools. Like, I think you've probably spoken about, I don't know, not even half of them, like a third of them. Like, there's so many different tools and so many different things we can use here. And it's a really hard thing to sort of communicate. So Miles sort of creating a demo site was just to sort of show this is how it could be used. It's not sort of, I mean, you've done a brilliant job, and it just sort of shows all the different possibilities. But yeah, thank you so much. So questions, Andy?
Just a very quickie, I think seeing it in demo form has really helped me understand what we're talking about. We've heard so many conversations about a digital engagement platform, and now suddenly you see what that really means. It's great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Mark, I'm going that way across the room.
Thank you. As someone who's digitally incompetent, as you know, I'm sure I'm not the only person like that, and the digitally excluded. How does this include people elderly without technology? How do we hear their voice?
So for one thing, this is designed to work in tandem with those. Something that I didn't talk about but is in the report in quite some detail is that there are hybrid engagement options. So if people were to if people wanted to fill something in on paper, we could upload that to the platform. So it would be with everything else. And there's also a voice.
Yeah, voice note transcribes voice notes. So you can record a conversation with someone and it will transcribe it and add it into the back end, which I think is genius.
Yeah, I agree. So how does that person who's engaged with it, how do they get a response if they're not going to engage with it digitally?
So another thing we can do to help people get onto the platform is, for instance, we could work with the digital cafe that happens at the Cheese and Grain. We could work maybe with the library to make sure it's accessible on computers there, and to help people to engage with it.
Can I go to Rachel on that? Because I think...
Yeah, hi. I mean, really, it's an additional tool. It doesn't mean we're going to stop all the things that we currently do to reach out. The Frome Times is still going to be, key to talking to people. We've still got a fantastic engagement team who are going to be out and about talking to people. It's not about it just makes it a lot easier for people who are, working away in their little rooms to engage properly, rather for those who aren't on the streets and who aren't reading the Frome Times and who don't have a lot of leisure time to come to things. It's an additional tool rather than a replacement for anything.
Anita.
Yeah, first of all, absolutely brilliant work, Miles. I mean, I'm just quite blown away by what I've seen tonight. I wasn't aware that half of this was happening. So I think it's a fantastic thing. It certainly would make it very easy to get people's views, and I love that. Can I just, because maybe I missed it, where is this actually going to be? Is it going to be on our website? Is it going to be...
Separate platform, but we can brand it and make it look, it will be like Frome towncouncil.engage or something. There will be a separate web address, but also it means all of our different consultations, engagements will be on the same page. You'll be able to find them. So rather than having one on Commonplace, one on something else and separate links, there'll be a sort of, and you hope that then people will go to that homepage to kind of look for everything.
Okay.
Rachel, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I mean, it will also be on our, it's a platform for itself, but it will also be on our website.
It will be on Discover Frome and Frome. Yeah,
it should look, as Miles has made it look, fairly seamless.
That's great. And just as a final aside, it's a great shame we can't use this instead of the grants committee and just put it out there.
We could in a little while. Lisa.
This is asking on behalf of the people of Frome, who I know some people would have this question. But in terms of the way that data is held and handled, I've noticed that it's a company from Denmark. And I just want to make sure that we've done our due diligence in terms of all the data being held in the UK, and also asking a question about what access the platform has to our residents' data.
So, as we understand it, the data is ours. As regards due diligence, we do still have some other steps to take, but it's chicken and egg, do the due diligence before you come to council. But what happens if you guys don't want it? It's a waste of our time. So there are still other steps to take before we commit the money. And obviously, it's really important that it's in line with our GDPR policy.
Carla had said, and I also read it, that lots of other councils in the UK use it. So I'm presuming that that is in place, but just for our protection, knowing who the controller is, who the handler is, where it's stored, what cloud service holds it, where that resides, and what they do in terms of breach protection of data, because we're if we are the data handler and there is a breach, we've got serious problems with the ICO.
We absolutely understand.
Yeah, of course. And that's for people in the community who may have that question. The other question that I have is in terms of general reserves, where does this leave us if we spend that money this year?
We started the year with quite a healthy general reserve surplus over and above the prudent. So the 5,000 requested is relatively minor.
Can I just say that I'll make a note, ask Peter to make a note that our due diligence includes that research about data protection, and that you feed back to, if you save myself and Lisa as well, specifically on that, if that's okay. And yes, and just also to say that we have sort of negotiated with Go Vocal that it is a sort of 15k, but it would be giving it to 12k roughly for the year, because we'd be the first town council using this, and they're keen to hear our experiences. So we have sort of negotiated it down. Andy, quickly, point.
Hi, well done. That was really great. This is great because in our usual consultation, we've had it before where we've put things up for consultation. We've had like very, very few people interact with it, and they happen to be the ones who think a particular way about something, and then a decision's made, and everyone else who did not engage with the consultation or didn't know about it goes, hang on, we don't want this. So that's really great. My question is, if you can create an account with a email and things like that, I might sound a little elitist here, what's to stop someone from Trowbridge or Warminster or elsewhere meddling with Frome matters?
To put their postcode in as well. There's
Good,
different things
thank
we
you.
can ask for.
That's all I wanted to know.
Can I just say that we're going to have to go to a vote in 4 minutes if we don't do this. So we're going to go to a vote because I don't want to extend, and we've also got other meetings afterwards. So we're going to vote on all of the recommendations together. Because basically, I think they're all basically it's do we do this or not. So subject to due diligence. Can I just say that we're going to have to go to a vote in 4 minutes if we don't do this? So we're going to go to a vote because I don't want to extend. We've also got other meetings afterwards. Budget. So we're going to vote on all of the recommendations together. Because basically, I think they're all basically do we do this or not. So subject to due diligence. Can I just say that we're going to have to go to a vote in 4 minutes if we don't do this? So we're going to go to a vote because I don't want to extend. We've also got other meetings afterwards. So we're going to vote on all of the recommendations together, because basically I think they're all basically do we do this or not. I'm proposing, I want to propose, I'm purely proposing, seconded by Carla, 4 minutes if we don't do this. So we're going to go to a vote because I don't want to extend. We've also got unanimous. It's one of the things that we're going to vote on all of the recommendations together, because basically I think they're all brilliant. And thank you. I just want to say this is I want to propose, I'm purely proposing, seconded by Carla, 4 minutes if we don't do this. So we're going to go to a vote. I don't want unanimous. It's one of the things that we're going to cover on all of the recommendations together. We're going to basically brilliant. And thank you. I just want to say this is I'm purely proposing, seconded by Carla, 4 minutes if we don't do this. So we're going to go to a vote. I don't want unanimous. It's one of the things that we're going to cover on all of the recommendations together. I'm sorry if that's one of it. Brilliant. And thank you. I just want to say this is I'm purely proposing, seconded by Carla, 4 minutes if we don't do this. So we're going to go to a vote. I don't want unanimous. It's one of the things that we're going to cover on all of the recommendations together. I've seen what happens when we're brilliant. And thank you. I just want to say this is I'm purely proposing, seconded by Carla, 4 minutes if we don't do this. So we're going to go to a vote. I don't want unanimous. It's one of the things that we're going to cover on all of the recommendations together. I've seen what happens when we're brilliant. And thank you. I just want to say this is I'm purely proposing, seconded by Carla, It's one of the things that I want to do is I've seen what happens when it's really good. Thank you. I just mind it's one of the things that I want to do is I've seen what happens when it's really good. Thank you. I just mind it's one of the things